Developmental psychology is the branch of psychology that studies how people grow, learn, and change across their entire lives. Instead of focusing on just one part of the lifespan, like childhood or adulthood, developmental psychology looks at every stage, beginning from infancy and continuing all the way through late adulthood. It examines physical growth, emotional development, thinking and reasoning, personality formation, and social relationships. The main goal of developmental psychology is to understand how and why we develop the way we do, and what factors influence those changes. Some of these influences come from our biology, while others come from our environment, culture, and personal experiences. The field became established in the late 1800s and early 1900s when psychology was becoming recognized as a formal science. One of the key figures who helped create developmental psychology was G. Stanley Hall, often referred to as the father of developmental psychology. Hall was the first psychologist to study children and adolescents in a systematic, scientific way, and he believed that childhood and adolescence were unique stages that needed to be understood separately from adulthood. His work helped shape the idea that human development is not random or accidental, but follows patterns that can be observed, researched, and understood. After Hall laid the foundation, several theorists expanded our understanding of development. One of the most influential was John Piaget. Piaget studied how children think, solve problems, and understand the world. He discovered that children do not think the same way adults do. Instead, they progress through a series of 4 cognitive developmental stages, each characterized by new ways of thinking. Children actively construct their understanding through experience. They observe, experiment, and learn by interacting with the world. This told psychologists that development is not just something that happens to children. Children are active participants in their own growth. Around the same time, Lev Vygotsky offered a different but complementary perspective. Vygotsky focused on the role of culture, language, and social interaction in development. He believed that children learn best through relationships, especially through guidance from parents, teachers, and peers. He introduced the idea of the zone of proximal development, which means that children learn best when they are supported at the level just beyond what they can do alone. Where Piaget emphasized independent discovery, Vygotsky emphasized learning with others, showing that human development is deeply social. Another major contributor was Erik Erikson, who expanded development beyond childhood and into adulthood. Erikson proposed 8 psychosocial stages, each defined by a central challenge that shapes personality. For example, infants learn trust when caregivers are warm and consistent. Teenagers explore identity as they try to understand who they are. Adults work to build relationships, families, and careers. Erikson's theory was important because it showed that development never stops. We continue growing and adapting throughout our entire lives. It's a continuous process. Together, these foundational theories created the framework for modern developmental psychology. They showed that development is multidimensional, influenced by thinking, ability, emotional experiences, social relationships, cultural environment, and biological changes. They also made it clear that every stage of life contributes to who we are, not just childhood. Today, developmental psychology plays an important role in education, healthcare, counseling, and public policy. Teachers use these theories to understand how students learn best. Doctors and therapists use them to support children and families. Even government programs are based on developmental principles, especially when promoting early childhood development and mental health. In summary, developmental psychology helps us understand how humans grow and change across the lifespan. From Hall's early child studies, to Piaget's focus on cognitive development, to Vygotsky's emphasis on social learning, and Erikson's lifelong stages of identity and growth, this field has helped shape the way we nurture, educate, and support people in every stage of life. Now, we'll move into the next section, where we look more closely at how these ideas developed over time and how different researchers expanded the field.
With the study of children first appearing in the late 19th century, it was met in the 20th century with a wider range of psychologists showing interest. Additionally, these psychologists broadened the study by not just studying children, but also how people develop throughout their lives. With early groundwork dating back to the 17th century, philosophers and scientists such as John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Charles Darwin made significant contributions to the early groundwork of developmental psychology. For example, John Locke viewed the mind of a young child as a tabula rasa, or a blank slate, and held that experiences shape our minds throughout our lives. Jacques Rousseau In the 18th century, argued against John Locke's view that children develop through experience in the environment and that they develop through fixed stages throughout their lives. Later, in the 19th century, Charles Darwin proposed that humans adapt to their environment throughout their lives. Known as the father of developmental psychology, G. Stanley Hall paved the way for the field's first studies through tests such as questionnaires. Despite these tests being regarded as ineffective, Hall's early data collection methods paved the way for more advanced, accurate methods. John B. Watson made significant contributions to expanding the field of developmental psychology. In the 20th century, Watson founded the behaviorist approach, which held that behavior originates in the environment and experiences rather than in biological determinants. Additionally, Watson was a firm denier of the introspective approach, which approached behaviors through procedures such as self-reports. As a new method, Watson sought to conduct research through procedures such as studying observable behavior by observing others to gather information. To further his behaviorist approach, Watson published Psychological Care of the Infant and the Child in 1928. This book firmly argued that behaviors are strictly learned from the environment and that behaviors can be shaped through procedures such as conditioning. Because of Watson's contributions to developmental psychology, such as the founding of the behaviorist approach, his work remains widely influential not only in developmental psychology, but throughout the field of psychology as a whole. Although a controversial figure, Sigmund Freud has made significant contributions to developmental psychology. One contribution Freud made to developmental psychology is his psychosexual development theory. This theory argues that as children develop, their sexual energy focuses on different parts of the body until they fully grow to be adults. Additionally, Freud believed that although a child's development is biologically determined, the experiences a child has during development can alter the final product of that development. Despite Freud's focus on child development being an important step towards the advancement of developmental psychology, the method he uses to focus on children is heavily criticized due to the psychosexual developmental theory being too heavily focused on sex. Arnold Gessel made significant advances in developmental psychology through large-scale studies of children's behavior. Gessel's large-scale studies revealed patterns of child development. They showed that although biology is one of the main determinants of development, the environment can make a minor contribution to a child's development towards adulthood. Throughout these studies, Gessel established norms for children at certain ages to begin performing actions such as crawling, walking, and talking. To successfully conduct these experiments, Gessel used innovative methods of observation such as recording children rather than directly observing them. Today, Gessel's data are still widely used in developmental psychology, and his methods of observation are widely used across the broad field of psychology. Today, Gessel's data are still widely used in developmental psychology, and his methods of observation are widely used across the broad field of psychology. Known as one of the most influential psychologists, Jean Piaget is the leading contributor to developmental psychology. His most famous contribution to developmental psychology was his theory of cognitive development. This argues that children construct their knowledge through processes of assimilation, which means that they process the experiences they encounter, altering and expanding their cognitive thinking as they develop. This is known as accommodation. Today, Piaget's work is still widely used in developmental psychology, education, and developmental research. In conclusion, the evolution of developmental psychology is complex, with its roots dating back to the 17th century. In its earliest stages, the roots of its development were laid primarily by philosophers such as John Locke and Jacques Rousseau. Eventually, this field has evolved over the centuries through the work of philosophers and other scientists, including Charles Darwin, John B. Watson, Sigmund Freud, Jean Piaget, and many others. Today, developmental psychology and its studies are still widely relevant and still used in educational institutions, healthcare facilities, government and research institutions, and other settings worldwide.
Philosophers John Locke, Charles Darwin, and Rousseau had many opinions that led to modern developmental psychology. All three of their influences continue to change important aspects of life, like education and health systems today. Locke's concept of the tabula rasa plays a massive role in this. Rousseau's stages of natural growth are another piece that affected developmental psychology, and even Darwin's thoughts on adaptation all cause the scientific idea on how humans change across their age and lifespan. These ideas created groundwork for psychologists like Erickson, for example, and it even created groundwork for national programs that use developmental research to support children and families. Modern development psychology is now directly informing U.S. government initiatives regarding things like early childhood and lifespan development. The Administration for Children and Families run nationwide programs that are built onto the idea of developmental psychology. The Head Start and Early Head Start program is one of them. This program focuses on early experiences that shape who we are today as a person. This is an example of Locke's and Rousseau's ideas. They show how important things like learning and nurturing relationships contribute to growth. And the Administration for Children and Families tell us that strong early childhood development will end up leading to healthier growth. Developmental psychology has also deeply influenced public health. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention runs the program Learn the Signs and Act Early. This program focuses on early development monitoring from birth to age 5. This is an example of developmental psychology's emphasis on early observation and pattern recognition. These principles trace back to Darwin's idea of adaptation and Locke's belief in shaping development through experience. The Centers of Disease Control and Prevention encourages parents and healthcare providers to track developmental progress. They do this to make it easier to act early if delays are suspected. This proves how psychology research has become a national health strategy. The idea that humans continue to develop and adapt at all ages is now a core framework in government research. The National Institution of Health, Food, and Agriculture is a big part of this. It consists of programs that focus on child health and parenting. This reflects developmental psychology's focus on growth beyond childhood. All these pieces end up linking back to Darwin's principle of lifelong evolution and change. These government-supported programs show that developmental psychology isn't just about children anymore, and that there is a bigger picture that shapes how society understands adulthood, aging, and family life as stages of development. The Office of Behavioral and Social Sciences Research has talked about the lifelong importance of early relational health. They have prioritized the quality of early social and emotional connections between children and caregivers since they believe it is detrimental to development. Their belief is that these early relationships have measurable effects on brain development, mental health, and physical well-being. This idea connects to Locke's concept of experience shaping the mind, and even Rousseau's idea of the natural emotional growth. Both of these foundational concepts have evolved into a normal public policy today. To conclude, developmental psychology started off with people looking deeper into just how we grow and change over time. Important influences like John Locke, Rousseau, and Charles Darwin each had different opinions on it. But one thing that they all could agree on is the idea that human development is made from experiences and other things like growth. Their ideas gave a head start for what would later become modern developmental psychology. This branch of developmental psychology has influenced our techniques on teaching, raising, and even supporting the mental health of kids. Major government programs focus on this piece of psychology by researching human growth, since it's such an important thing that they have to prioritize, and they're prioritizing childhood mental health and use research on developmental psychology so that they're able to provide children and families with the healthiest lifestyles possible.